The Cheating Death podcast is a satirical program containing objective information about anything and everything from under the sun. We are listed as a satirical podcast to ensure that all of the information that we are able to provide as transparently and as directly as we possibly can reaches your ears in the most direct and clear way possible. We are not political. We are not religious. However, we are analytical and perhaps a bit prodigious. Dear listener, you have made a choice, and upon this beautiful day, you are finding yourself listening to the Cheating Death podcast. On today's episode of the Cheating Death podcast, we discuss the police state. Not necessarily the state named police, but the absolute surveillance nation in which we find each and every situation. We provide you with an all-new joke of the episode, an all-new Annihilation Announcement, as well within this a top 5 list of our favorite policing movies. We would also like to advise that throughout the course of this program, you may find yourself questioning exactly how much you are monitored, but that does not mean you should be afraid. It means that you are aware. I would also like to provide an opportunity for anyone who lives in the Greater Toronto area to be aware of the beautiful benevolence known as the Backroom Comedy Club. Yes, we are going to provide some more details about them at the end of the podcast within the credits section. However, we also want to pay tribute to some of the greatest local legends known to mankind. So, Wednesday through Sunday at the Backroom Comedy Club. If you are in the Toronto area, tickets are extremely cost-effective and outstanding talents displayed at each and every single show. Legends like Jen Siccato, legends like Darren Burke, legends like Alex Burke, legends of Leviathan standing and overall enjoyment levels. They work very hard, and we highly suggest that you check them out at Backroom Comedy Club on Instagram, and that is instagram.com/Backroom Comedy Club. Give the owner, Brandon Sobel, a follow, one of the hardest working comedians in Toronto, Ontario, and please be sure to support your local comedy club no matter where you are. Dear listener, you have made an opportunity to listen to one of the most dedicated and absolutely committed programs this side of the sun. And we want you to understand that you already know what to do by now. Grab yourself that iced coffee, put your feet up, and let us tell you how you can cheat death. This is your news anchor, the Cleric of Chaos, and this is your Annihilation Announcement. Dear listeners, We have provided context into numerous situations over the course of this program, whether it be from the point that we were formally picked up and proverbially signed in this particular capacity, or ever since we started providing our voice to web radio, podcasts, and other media, circling all the way back to 2008. Our message, our clear ideas, as well as our intention has remained the same. We vehemently and we ardently refuse to watch humanity fall by the wayside while we possess some level of capability to be able to make people smile, make them happy, and also provide them with the information that they need in order to get through a particularly difficult endeavor. It is not lost on the creator and or host of this program that we as a species have a lot of work to do as it pertains to taking care of each other and supporting each other. This information is absolutely one of the most dedicated reasons we fervently decide to move forward in a way in which our content, as well as the information that we provide, is as direct and as transparent and as clear as humanly possible. People do not get enough direct, clear information from their news, from their social media, or from virtually any element in life. For you see, there are numerous individuals throughout this existence in whom are purposefully obtuse, provide you with nothing but barriers and or obstacles when all you are trying to do is get through your day and execute things in a most polite way. We ask ourselves many questions over the course of existence, and one of those questions we frequently ask is, how did we find ourselves here? The real behind the questions that we ask ourselves and the information that we provide is not lost on any individual in whom does their best to seek respite or reprieve within the course of their day. We absolutely see each and every single potential calamity that comes before us, but do we do much to stop it? No, we do not. And this is another one of the reasons why, with people being so overburdened and so inundated with not only work, but family life, trying to build for a brighter tomorrow, we often find areas of opportunity to which we did not deem possible, nor did we see before. But you know by now, dear listener, you are a smart person. You do what you can with the resources that you have to make a beautiful life that is all your own. You fight with the will of 1,000 warriors, doing each and every single thing they can to not fall apart at any given point throughout the day. And does that mean that you are failing if you are not able to keep them at bay? No, it absolutely and most definitely does not. For when we work towards an identification of being able to pinpoint specific areas of opportunity within our social and our psychological armors, we often are way too hard on ourselves. We push ourselves in a direction that we would not send our family or our best friends or our partners, all because we feel that we need to do as much as humanly possible in order to succeed in this very challenging and this very cataclysmic world. But you are doing the very best that you can. You wake up each morning and you do whatever it is that you are required in order to live another day, in order to breathe, in order to focus towards a brighter tomorrow. But does that mean that you should give up at the slightest bit of resistance? No. If anything, you must utilize that resistance, that social aspect of the situation, to push forward and to go against the societal grain and do what you can to build your own dreams, for we are in a very dire economic time, and there is much calamity to be spoken of. But does that mean that any of us should really give up at the end of the day? No, absolutely not, because when you think about it, life is too beautiful and too formal and too precious to just completely walk away from. Think of the galactic lottery that you have won by existing at this time, regardless of the psychiatric, the mental, emotional, social, financial, or physical calamities you may face, you have an opportunity to make something great of your time on this planet, and there is absolutely nothing that this program will not do to help you and find your way. This has been your news anchor, the Cleric of Chaos, and this, of course, is your Annihilation Announcement. Willkommen, meine Freunde. Guten Morgen, guten Tag und eine gute Nacht. Ist deine Schauspieler, deine Reisende, deine Ausländer, deine Allesfresser, deine Vernichter, deine Künstler. Ich verrate, es ist aus Best gemacht. Ich bin bereit. Und heute ist ein schöner Tag. Dear listeners, today on the Cheating Death podcast, we provide insight on what is known as the police state. Now, what is the police state? There are a litany of examples as to what it very well could be, but let us start at the proverbial beginning. Dear listeners, the police state is a term coined by American conspiracy theorists in whom strongly believe that the entire country is controlled by the cabal of the corporate police. This being that the notion and the idea that all of each and every single law, every single citation, every single little bylaw that is perpetuated throughout each state, province, as well as each city and municipality and jurisdiction within the final areas of our gerrymandered particular geographic areas known as states, provinces, townships, hamlets, villages, and so on and so on. We identify the police as being associated with that of upholding the law, providing you with an opportunity to be an upstanding citizen when things go bad. What happens when you are across an alley at 3 a.m. and you lock eyes with an individual in whom you feel may be a danger, and you decide to be silly and proceed further into said alley because it's one of two ways home? You find yourself in a situation to where you may be accosted by an individual in whom does not want to be noticed. So what do? You try to move through that alley without creating any sort of controversy or issue. And then, from behind, you get stabbed in the knee. So what do? You contact your local police department and your local paramedic to get to you as soon and as quickly as they possibly can. This could very well be a good thing, and it may lead to arrest for that particular individual. Or depending on how you handle the situation, you may find yourself behind bars in and of yourself. For you see, dear listeners, we live in a time where it has become quite clear that despite the modern era we live in, and despite the tolerance that we as a society preach, the police state is still exceptionally draconian in its implementation of various laws from state to state, province to province, country to country here on this fair continent. But one of the things that this program absolutely must inform you of as it pertains to this particular topic is that the police state is not limited to just the patrol cars you see, nor the supervisors or desk dwellers over at the police stations. Absolutely not. For you see, there are absolutely large networks going from city to city, state to state, interstate to interstate, that provide law enforcement agencies an insight on exactly who you are. The police state is a term that was coined back during the 1980s as a way to identify the specific capitulation and surveillance nation in which we find ourselves under, growing more and more each and every single day. And after individuals had read Orwell a bit too much, people have become to identify with the position in which they find themselves constantly monitored, whether it be on social media, whether it be through your email, whether it be through any particular online communities or physical communities you may be a part of. At some point, if you do not follow everything to the letter, you may find yourself under constant scrutiny, constant surveillance, or you may find yourself as a perpetual target of your local police force if you are not doing everything that you can to be a, quote, law-abiding citizen, unquote. The very element of what constitutes a police state is, again, not necessarily conducive to that of the American states or territories. A police state is a term that is essentially coined to describe mass surveillance and mass occupation of a certain particular ideology or a particular way of protest or a particular way of just being and functioning as a human being. It is no secret, dear listeners, that if you are not of the Caucasian persuasion, then still, in this modern era, you may face struggles with the police force because of how they are trained, how they view people based specifically and solely on demographic information. For you may be a wealthy Latino businessman walking up and down Fifth Avenue in New York, and it will not matter. You could see a poor man in whom is of Caucasian nature, and they may be being a bit erratic or problematic, and in southern states like Arkansas, Alabama, Oklahoma, Kansas, and so on, they will find themselves being completely ignored in favor of people in whom are perpetual law-abiding citizens whose only crime is walking outside while a different color than those in whom are monitoring them. That in and of itself is not only racial intolerance, dear listener, but we also still understand that a lot of the dashcam videos and a lot of the police videos that we see have a tendency to focus on individuals who are from a lower economic climate, and through specific purposes and political gerrymandering in the division of districts, a lot more people are victimized more so than some others. And we think it is quite obvious here, dear listener, that there needs to be an overhaul of how the police work, not only within this country itself, but also all across North America. For you see, we constantly create division within our society, but the police should be there to take care of individuals at their most vulnerable. They should not be there to exacerbate the situation, nor should they be there to survey individuals in whom have done nothing more but build a successful life for themselves, and perhaps they have an outspoken opinion. Perhaps they have experiences in which they want to keep people from having to go through themselves. The list is endless, dear listener. And when we find ourselves in a position where there are no questions, there are no answers, there are absolutely no ways around a particular situation when you are dealing with a hostile member of a police force, just remember, do not resist, do everything they ask. Your day in court will come later. If you do anything to make the arrest or to make the situation, the citation delivery a little bit more difficult for them than what it needs to be, they take it personally, and then they choose to maximize the fullest extent of what their particular powers are able to do. It is to note, dear listener, that the host, the creator of this program, does not have a criminal record. A completely clean slate he possesses. However, he is also completely aware that there are no ways for any individual to be 100% sure that they are going to be free from tyranny. And we're not stating this emphatically in the don't tread on me sense, but we are stating it for the record, because if you are doing your best to live your life, and the only thing that is keeping you monitored is your opinion, where you live, or who you are, then we need to do better as a species and focus on how we can better help our communities and help people grow. But I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. Until next time, dear listeners, thank you for tuning in today. Take care of yourselves and each other. Today's joke has been brought to you by the Cleric of Chaos. Most people, when they find themselves in a bind and they do not want to get left behind, they ultimately locate a place where they are happy to be. Maybe that happy place should not be tequila happy hour after you have lost track of your wallet. At the top of today's episode, we promised you a list of our top 5 police/cop themed movies. So, without further ado, and without an opportunity to provide them with your license and registration after you are pulled over for perhaps veering over a little bit too far to the left, let us dive right into the list. Coming in at number 5, we have Police Academy. Coming in at number 4, we have one of the most legendary police movies and is known as Beverly Hills Cop. Coming in at number 3, we have Cop Out. Coming in at number 2, one of the most absolutely brilliant police films of all time, we have Heat. And coming in at number 1, we have the one, the only, the absolute best police-themed movie of all time, and we absolutely do mean this very satirically, but Paul Blart Mall Cop. What are your top 5? Email us at thecheatingdeathpodcast@gmail.com. The notion of a police state, ladies and gentlemen, is not lost on those in whom have had to deal with a variety of the local police forces, or perhaps even more, the state-sponsored individuals, the state troopers, the Ontario Provincial Police, the absolutely lovely people in the RCMP. It is not lost on us that these particular sources and or entities may not always be as benevolent as they try to be. We all focus a little bit, a lot, and in some cases not at all, on the very surveillance that has become our modern world. They call it the police state because each and every single element of your daily adventure, your daily work, your existence is now being monitored in some way to ensure that you are doing the very best you can to not be a non-law abiding citizen. And how does that look to each and every single person in whom wonders about the specifics and the aspects of how these particular elements work, how these industries and how these police forces themselves have become leviathans of not only complete and utter boisterous spending, but also the justification of the usage of resources to where they may not necessarily need to be. How and why could we allow ourselves to reach a position in time and a point in life where we are not only surveyed on a massive basis, but we actually allow ourselves to be completely monitored through our social medias, through our devices, through our capabilities, and through our daily adventures? For you see, even if you are an upstanding, law-abiding citizen, there are still files being kept on you. There are still bits of information that if you were to look on a particular server requiring a reliable security clearance, or in the United States of America, a government security clearance, you would know firsthand just how much information that these entities have upon you. It is not necessarily beneficial to each or any individual to understand the extent to which they may know about who you are, what you do, where your friends live, and ultimately your entire life. But one must understand that with a world of instant gratification and seamless communication comes a surveillance state that will cross each nation. This does not mean you should be afraid. It just means you should be aware. So if in the event that you find yourself walking down that road and you seem to feel as if maybe, just maybe, you have given yourself away a little bit too much, it is never too late to dial back the amount of communication that you put forth and the amount of information that you provide to the internet and to the world itself. For we are all doing our best to find our way in this unique haven of hell, and all we must do is just be a little bit more aware and be free from despair. It is to be noted, dear listener, that we appreciate each and every single element of life, and we feel you should too. Do not let anyone or anything scare you from being who you are. Until next time, thank you for tuning in today. Take care of yourselves and each other. The Cheating Death Podcast is brought to you by Nach dem Leben, CRDVC, Cleric of Chaos, and where you can find all podcasts on all platforms. If you'd like to support the program, you may do so by buying merchandise, buying a cameo, buying us a coffee, or much, much more. Links in the episodes in the podcast description. Please follow all of our associate producers, directors, consultants, and friends. Follow the Backroom Comedy Club, where they host live comedy shows 5 nights a week, Wednesday through Sunday. Follow Darren Burke. Follow Alex Burke, one of the lovely, most benevolent comedians of this side of the planet. Darren Burke being one of the funniest guys Toronto has ever seen, heard, or witnessed. And please do follow each and every single one of our friends in the pinned profile posts in the episodes and in the podcast description. If you or anyone you know is suffering from gambling abuse, substance withdrawal, or any emergency calamity, please call the telephone numbers listed in the telephone and in the podcast descriptions of each episode, as well as in the description of each platform you download from. If you or anyone you know are looking at adopting a playful puppy or a cute kitten, please visit your local animal adoption rescue center, for they are in dire need of your support, as well as visit yummypets.com/voice. Click the button each and every single day for an opportunity for shelter animals to receive 330 pounds or 150 kilos of free kibble, so they can be sure that they will get through the next month. And for lovely life, dear listeners, we understand that it is not an easy way to reach our success, but the more we keep fighting and the more we wage war, the more our lives will have purpose. We must wage war on mediocrity and do everything that we can in order to avoid becoming complacent. And remember, we're pulling for you. We're all in this together.